Because I'm just going to throw this out here. Beryllium, number 4. Remember, I was the 2 times 2 is 4, which is the square area. Now, the dimensions in space, there's no degrees of, there's infinite degrees of freedom, making there are no up or down. Every which way is up and down. It has so many degrees of freedom, pretty much. So, to be able to measure this, cube or square in space area has 6 dimensions, which is carbon. But I digress. This is the area. So you have your square area, and this happens in the X process. This is the first radioactive element, and it's the 4th one. The first element after cosmic rays, after the universe with hydrogen, helium, and lithium. 4th one is a nuclear radioactive element. It doesn't happen in nuclear synthesis in a star. It happens externally. It goes through an X process. Okay, this is essentially mirroring beta decay that the singularity goes through. Just to elaborate, the 6 that represents carbon. This right here, Star David. Everybody's familiar with that one. Of course, you have the octagon, essentially, which is your female. This represents that area that I was talking about. You have square times 2. Essentially, it's this. And this represents the male. And the carbon or nuclear, however you want to look at it. It's all the same pattern, which bleeds into our physics, which bleeds into our biology, ultimately bleeds into the blood, plasma. Pretty much it's like the theory of everything when you think about it. Now, as I explained, in the alpha keratin and the beta keratin in the live birth lineage and the egg-laying lineage, we have the Y and the X, the fish and the whale, or the shark and the whale, essentially. And the whale has a Y-axis, up and down, alpha, and side to side, laying down, X, beta, alpha keratin and beta keratin. And this would be the sperm whale, the seed cetacean. Like I was saying, the Greeks are trying to tell us something. This is the mammal of the ocean that progenites the land mammals. This would be what would progenate the egg-laying lineage. But at some point, the ichthyosaur is related to both of these guys, okay? But it's diverged, okay? The ichthyosaur is related to the shark, okay? But it's a mammal. So at some point, this shares a lineage at some point with the ichthyosaur, which is sharing a lineage with the whale. Because they've been around longer, the sharks have. And they're baleen, and there's baleen whales. This is before they evolve teeth. And that's before we grow up and we grow our teeth. It mirrors, that's a mirror. Now here's another one. The cerebral cortex of the whale has an extra paralimbic core, okay? The limbic core of the whale is extra paralimbic. Now, from this female aspect, we get some of our cerebellum from our mother and some from our father. But all of our cerebral cortex comes from our mother. All of this comes from our father, the seed. And then it starts to germinate in fruits. And the whale shark has the most convoluted cerebellum, the little brain. In this aspect, it would be the female. The shark, the fish would be the female. But also male because of the mitochondria on the back of the sperm, which is going to merge, like I said, with the females and create the little brain and then grow and fruit into the cerebral cortex, which you get the rest from your mother. This will be the limbic brain, the core, the nuclear core. So we inherit our brain from the shark, which would be the fish or the ichthyosaur aspect, because the ichthyosaur had a very convoluted cerebellum. His cerebellum was pretty advanced. And the paralimbic system from the sperm whale, which will give us a supralimbic system. And the female reproductive system looks like the shark's brain, which is another mirror in evolution with the X and the Y. And these guys were bottom feeders. That means these dudes lived on literally just the micro algae and plankton of the earth. That means they had to evolve from being able to live on just the sole earth itself, the rawest nutrients it could. And these are advanced organisms. So these are like the babies of the advanced organisms. And we are ultimately related to both. And it's alpha and beta keratin. And I'm just going to throw it out here about the fungus. The penis looks like a mushroom, the mushroom head. And it spits gametes, or gametes, however you want to say it. Now, just for a second, imagine that the sperm whale, imagine how big you are compared to in this aspect. Imagine the sperm whale is a sperm size. And essentially the whale shark is like the sperm for the other lineage, the egg-laying lineage, as this is for the four-chambered heart mammal lineage. Now, at some point, we're going to be related to the Serenian but it's going to diverge. And that odontobonocetops is a transition from whale in the Sirenian to pinniped. And the pinniped is when we're connected to our mother. That's when we get the umbilical cord. So finally our legs are on the earth. You see what I'm saying? And then our brain starts to develop. We start to grow in the womb. This would be analogous to the hippo. This has got a primitive, it's like, this is why the hippopotamus is so violent and aggressive. It's like a crocodile. It's like the reptilian version of a mammal in a premature stage. You know what I'm saying? The elephant here, the hippocampus. That's going to be one of the genes that the elephant has that we have. It has something to do with the genes that in the brain. The elephant also has a very convoluted cerebellum compared to its size of any other animal, relatively. And it's got a large cerebral cortex. They're a very intelligent species. So it's like in the zygote, we would mirror how life is going to evolve in an inverted way. Basically, this would be analogous to macroevolution. This is basically the best way to explain macroevolution.